roll into the off season. Billy said, "Hold my beer." Oh goodness, it's gonna be a good show, boys. Sit back and relax. We're gonna have some fun. There we go. Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of High Top Sports. We've got a good one jam-packed for you guys today. We got a lot to go over. Jay Bateman, linebacker coach, moving on, going over to Texas A&M. We're going to talk all about that with Mr. Zach Goodall. And then Ernest Graham, father of Miles Graham, expressed some frustration about the change, about the news. And we're going to have to get into all that as well. It's a crazy one. But ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's go ahead and bring in our guest of the evening, Mr. Zach Goodall. Zach, how are you doing, my friend? Good to see you, boss.
Hey, it's great to see you, man. I'm tired. We were just talking about it before the show started. We both worked a lot this past 48 or so hours. It was only supposed to be 24. What gives?
You know, it's like we're kind of, we kind of got over the hump yesterday. Billy kind of, I feel like, smoothed it over as best he could with the press conference. People were frustrated, but ultimately we were like, all right, whatever it is, what it is. Let's move on. Let's maybe sign a few more guys in the portal and let's start talking about practice. You know what I mean? Like practice, not a game, not the off season, not recruits, practice. And I thought we were gonna have a fun little day, hang out. No, that's not the case. Not the case, Zach. I don't know. I don't know. And the thing I've been talking about with my bunch of guys today, it's like, look, these things happen. This isn't like it's out of the ordinary for a coach to move on right after signing day. This happens a lot, but it just feels like for Florida, we didn't need anything else. Sometimes no news is good news, and we needed no news. We just need to just go away for a little bit, and we can't seem to get out of the media. But explain that. Is this move isn't as crazy as it feels? It feels like the world's falling, but these things happen quite often. Yes or no?
I do. I mean, it's to make it like personal about us again, it's like, right, it's Florida lost 8 members of the class expected to sign yesterday since November. Like we've dealt with plenty of losses here when they finally got the 2 5 stars across the line. And still, like when you look at this, yeah, I understand the ranking sucks compared to what it could have been. But there's still a lot of quality to this class. Like in my time covering the team, and I've not researched this since the idea came into my head, so I could be totally wrong and off base here. But I've covered the team for I think 5 recruiting cycles now, roughly. They're weird how they line up. I can't remember the last time they brought in 5 top 100 talents, so I still see positives to it. Um, but when you weigh all of those things and all that to be said, like, right, once we got done, once LJ McCray signed yesterday and all was finalized and we got through that press conference, for me, it was like, man, I'm ready to actually start my off season and get some of my personal non-football things taken care of. And then this move happens, and it was certainly blindsiding a lot of people. As you hinted, it blindsided the father of a recruit who just signed under that position, and obviously a tremendous Gator in Ernest Graham. Um, I would think that in some capacity it blindsided Billy Napier. That being said, as the head coach managing a staff that is experiencing turnover, he should be aware of all possibilities, especially with coaches that have contracts expiring. Bateman's was due to expire in just over a month, so he's got to be aware of the possibility of another team coming and trying to poach this guy. I mean, especially after the recruiting class he put together this year. Even after losing a Darius Hayes, it's still arguably that linebacker position, the inside linebacker position. It's still one of the strongest parts of the class, 2 top 100 players alone. So you had to have been anticipating teams trying to make a move at a bare minimum, and you got to get ahead of it. Even if it was a short window of opportunity to get the messaging clear, how many times is Florida going to mess up on the messaging? We've seen it a lot of times under Billy Napier. So I understand that people overreacted. I saw people upset that we wrote the Ernest Graham story, but it's Ernest Graham commenting in a way that he commented. That can't be ignored, right? This is a very important person around Florida football. So I'm sorry to have upset people by doing my job writing the stories as they come to me as they're quoting people, but it just is what it is. It's the messaging, and the messaging, the optics, they're not great. They continue to not be great even after what could be considered a fine finish with the expectations in mind. With everyone understanding there were threats to Florida's commitments that some players had left and they still got 2 5 stars in. It's tough. It's tough. You think that once they get to 5:30, 5:45 last night, finally things are like, okay, the dust can settle. And here we are.
Well, you went over a lot there, Zach. So we got to unpack this thing for a quick second because
Sorry.
no, you're fine. You spiced it a little positive. I do want to go into that really quick because there is
Sure.
something about this class too that you alluded to is that it's the first time in the 5 cycles that you've recruited in the last 5 years that we've got five in the top 100, and that's something. Again, I'm the Disney guy. I'm the Sunshine Pumper. That was one thing I was very excited about. Is that yes, number wise and on paper, right? It didn't finish with the fury that we needed to finish with the flash that it needed to. We go sign 10 3 stars. We're right there where people want to be in that top five class. But what does that really mean? Look, I think there's some guys that we could have held on to, which I would have liked. Maris Williams would have been a big one. Connor Clark said that he was probably his top guy that he would have liked, even over Xavier Filsime. So those guys I would have liked to held on to, but it is what it is. But ultimately, a guy like LJ McCray and a guy like DJ and a guy like Miles Graham and Aaron Childs and that wide receiver core and Amir Jackson, those guys are really, really exciting. That could be day one impactors. And even Gregory Smith, I think there's a dark knight there somewhere hiding that could really make, and this running back room, Jaden Ball. I'm kind of named the whole class there, but those guys really excite me. And you get pegged as the guy that's, a little bit more on the pessimistic side. I think it's more of just a realist side. And for you to have a little bit of, hey, there's actually a real lot to be excited about for the people at home. I think that should be, look, Zach isn't like ourselves where he's not a sunshine pumper. He's just giving you, facts don't care about feelings. So that there is some pro to that. There is some exciting news to that. Would you say?
Yeah, I do, and I think it's important to keep the glass half full, of course, because the drop off from that top 100. Like I really like Fletcher Westfall, who is that
Mm,
number six. And if we're looking at the composite, he's number 205 overall. But then from him, um, in the next 250 spots, there's only 4 or 5 more guys. So like there is a drop off. I do want to be realistic about it, but to me, it feels like, and I understand right now there's so many negatives to deal with, and today I can't escape them in my job. Again, I'm looking forward to vacation. I can't escape it, but like you do have to keep yourself sane a little bit. And they did get the franchise quarterback in. There appears to be absolutely no hiccups like there were last year with Jaden Rashada when it comes to DJ Lagway. You get LJ McCray. I mean, considering they the defensive line hire, even though we know who it is basically at this point, all but finalized. To have that come out in the middle of the day while that's all going on, he still ends up in the class. LJ McCray, that is still a good thing. There are good things to be remembered from that day. It wasn't all disastrous. And I went into the press conference. I know we'll talk about it. Like I asked tough questions. I definitely focused on some more of the not great things, but we got to balance it out, especially as we enter the off season and we've dealt with the season we've dealt with. Maybe I'm not the one who should be telling people this, but I do, even from my semi pessimistic stances a lot of the time, like I do feel as though there needs to be a look at the positives here.
look at that. Hey, Zach, one of us. One of us. I love it. Let's talk a
You
little
got
bit
it.
before we get into the Bateman saga because I got a lot of questions there. Bef- quick, just one yes or no question. Did you interview Ernest after the tweet?
No, we
Okay,
had Cam Parker spoke to him. He works with us at All Gators. Spoke to him on Tuesday. It
that's how I read
about
it. Okay, that's how I read it.
yeah.
I just wanted to confirm because I read your article, beautiful article, and I was like, this feels like it was written as if they had spoke to him prior to. So, little not confused, but like, hey, like something happened within 24 hours because the tweet. I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm just so excited to talk about it. The tweet alluded that it could have been multiple times of miscommunication, but your article, in my opinion, I felt like it kind of smoothed things over a little bit. We'll get into that. I'm sorry. Little teaser for you guys. You're welcome. Let's go to the press conference really fast. How was it
Sure.
in the room? I know our guy Edgar always throwing the jabs in there, pushing the buttons a little bit. I think Billy kind of was a little spicy, like he has been recently. How do you feel from being in the room or throughout the year? Did it feel different? Kind of give us a rundown how it went down for you in there.
I mean, in some ways it did. It was the longest press conference we've had with Billy
It was
since
long.
maybe the last signing day. It was a long one, and I appreciate that in and of itself. I like to be able to have. I like to walk out of the room feeling as though we had every question asked.
Feeling
And we
full.
didn't last night, but we had so many. Like I know Chris Couch was one that people wanted asked, and there was just what can you do? We didn't even get comment on Will Harris aside from like him replacing Corey Raymond. So there's more to come, but I still felt good there. Um, there was I know I talked about this last time. There was the pushback that we've gotten from Billy a couple of times about the decommitments. Like I think it was pretty obvious we were talking about Xavier Filzame, Amaris Williams to an extent, even though Billy was prepared to answer questions with, well, Mike Peterson recruited them and Amaris Williams was recruited to Mike Peterson's position. So I also understand his pushback in some of these instances. And yesterday it made sense relative to the defensive ends.
Mm,
Um, he was honest. I mean, Florida, I have gotten the sense under Billy Napier and the players that are sticking to this have really taken on this us versus the world mentality, um, which it certainly lends credence to there being a loyalty aspect here within this culture. Um, I obviously it can go both ways. You don't necessarily want to always have the us versus the world mentality, but Florida's it's gotten the press that it's gotten, even predating Billy Napier and the expectations that were set for him making this jump. Um, you can't necessarily blame someone when all they do is hear what they might consider nitpicking, right or wrong. But they definitely get a lot of heat, and these players are embodying their head coach, which I think is what a lot of people want at the end of the day. They want uh, players that will follow their head coach into war, and it seems as though that is the attitude Billy Napier's take on, and I get the sense that players have taken that. I mean, him talking about some players weren't up for the challenge. I found it a little corny, if anything, because they spent a long time recruiting these players. Like, I don't think they actually believe Xavier Filzame was not up for the challenge because that
it's
guy was,
coach talk, right? You got what are you gonna say to that? Like,
yeah,
hey, we got
yeah,
outbidden.
right, exactly, exactly. And like, I can't really ask Billy to say that either, so I get it. But I mean, we walk out of that press conference where he's saying like, you're either with us or you're against us, essentially. Total paraphrase, obviously. But what does DJ Lagway come out and tweet? Like, you're either sorry, I'm gonna misquote him, but you're either gonna win with us or watch us win.
Yeah.
They're
No,
taking on his personality.
fired me up. I loved it. And look, so a couple things to break down. I do want to pick your brain a little bit about the class collapsing to what it did, and your thoughts on how the process ran. And it's Billy's obviously going to be one to blame, but I want to go a little bit deeper. But in the sense of us versus the world mentality, i in a weird way, it feels like when everyone is rooting against this staff and wanting it to burn, essentially, it feels like they just kind of keep coming rising like a phoenix, right? Just keep rising from the ashes, like they just Billy lost the class from 3 to 18 and walks out goes, United Entertained. Like, are you not watching the same thing we're watching? And it's almost like he kind of just like beats you down. We're like, all right, I'm listening. Dude. What do you got for me at this point? And watching just the people on social media today kind of defending what happened with the Jay Bateman situation, it feels in a weird way that the people close to it are really bought in because they genuinely like Billy. And I think that's been the kind of the consensus that the dude's a good dude. And ultimately, we got to win, right? Nobody cares if he likes somebody too much, but he's slowly starting to kind of just pick away at people. And like, it's like, I really want this guy to succeed. Are we going to eventually see it? Am I off on thinking that or feeling that way? Or is that kind of the vibe that you get as well, that it's going that direction a little bit?
No, I totally feel I mean, I think that lines up exactly with how I see it, is that they're trying to find guys that fit what they want. Is that healthy? Like, to have to be that strict about it,
Mm,
like, it's either our way or the highway.
good question.
Time will tell, but they're certainly getting closer. Because I mean, the players that are gonna be entering year 3, you have to think they're totally bought into this, like, it's they see that vision, and they wanna continue to be a part of it, and obviously, these guys they're the ones that are recruiting these players here now, so they're giving these recruits the truth, um, and really giving them insight into what this system looks like, so I do agree that they're really picking and choosing, I guess maybe be the best way to put it. And obviously they can turn that into a spin when someone chooses not to come here, but it's the culture they're establishing. You're with us or you're against us, and that certainly can be powerful. But can it turn away guys? We've seen it, but we'll see whether or not those are the ones that mattered. soon.
So this is what I want, because this is the part again. Billy got hit with he can't recruit yesterday, not finishing again once again with over 25 commits, top 10, and this is where what frustrates me is because something that I smashed this drum all off season, all summer long. They got him early, fantastic job. They had these guys visiting every week. I'm talking Eldon McCray actually wasn't one of the guys I visited a lot, but Amaris, Jamonte, Adarius, the entire linebacker class, the wide receivers. I mean, this core was with each other a lot. I mean, if you weren't bought into UF, I mean, what are we doing here? And then all of a sudden, a week till signing day, the new girl with, the pretty girl shows up and it's like, hey, I want you. And like that, it turns. To me, and I don't know how much you can say about this, but it feels like, look, like this ultimately became a bidding war. And we were just like, we just spent the entire year grooming you, actually recruiting you, buying in, showing what we mean to you. These guys show up with a shiny new toy, and you're like, yeah, I'm out. Then I don't want you anyways. Is that's how it felt? Am I wrong in that feeling, or is that kind of how you feel too? I don't know how much you can talk about kind of the NIL factor to these things. Let me know if I'm
I
probing
mean,
too much.
no, I mean, I obviously want to watch what I say because it's the world we live in when it comes to recruiting. But I mean, it's obviously real. You have to wonder how much money was spent from Florida's side on players that didn't make it into the class. Not to say it was Florida's coaches, obviously, but we know the structure of NIL these days and the outside forces that play a part in recruiting. You got studs. When these recruits that are committed and are high 4 stars, 4 stars to 5 stars, other schools, even when they're committed to Florida, are paying for them to come and visit. It is what it is. Again, not schools, but the people surrounding these schools
Sure.
and these programs. How much did Florida spend on that? And could that have been better used closer to the end on trying to get these guys into the class then? Hypothetical. Um, all of this makes you think a lot. And one thing that'll be worth thinking about as we get into this off season, and again, as they potentially have this us versus the world mentality, is exactly what you're saying. This courting them all along the way, and once they turn their back on you, once they spurn you, it's we never won them anyway. I don't know how healthy that is, but I also find it healthy to keep a tight, close circle of people that you trust. So it's a catch-22. I'm fascinated to see how it works out, I guess, is how I would put it.
Hey, well done. I don't. That was a tough question. I'm not trying. I know, like, because here's the thing, man. Like, I feel like the money talk is definitely more in the open than it has before, and I'm not trying to like
Yeah.
create like it's a money bag thing, but we all know that it's there, but it's definitely more in front of your face now with NIL. And it's the reason why I bring it up because it's like, again, I would understand if maybe these guys are visiting these schools at the same time they were like a Jeremiah Smith could have went anywhere and I wouldn't have been surprised. He visited Florida in Florida State in Miami. I felt like more than he was in Ohio State, and he's still committed to Ohio State. These guys that we've talked about, like Waller and Amaris, it was like just one visit. It's like, yeah, this is it. It's like, well, what, what was
Just
the
happened. Yeah.
what was that? I've been locked in. I'm closing down my commitment. Like what happened? You know what I mean? Like, and again, I understand it's kids, and I'm not trying to like get like emotionally attached. I understand this is recruiting, but my thing is you were bought in for so long. That last late minute switch, it just felt like there was not necessarily a true recruiting tactic. Is how I'm assuming. Look, I'm not mad at the kids. You got to do what's best for you. This is not me taking a shot at them. It's more of a question of, hey, is the Florida, not necessarily the staff, but everybody involved, the upper hand, and everyone, are they truly bought in and understanding this new wave of college football? Or are we maybe a little more behind the eight ball than people want to, than we realize? That was more so. I think I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. Without a doubt. And I don't wanna take any shots at the recruits either, but I mean, I also understand the frustration too. I got a lot of heat the other day when I tweeted that Florida commit Amaris Williams is down to 3 as if, like, I didn't know what I was tweeting. It's the state of recruiting, that's the joke. Like, it's a joke. Amaris Williams to me was not a Florida commitment when he had 3 schools. Um, And I mean, the idea of these kids being committed for forever and taking these one visits and changing, I mean, I think that applies to Adarius Hayes, and I know that a lot of people were really upset with him, and I understand Florida being upset with that situation, and I do caution people putting stock into recruits' interviews as much, and I'm guilty of putting them out there, but again, that's also my job. The kids are talking to me, and when a Darius Hayes comes out and he puts out a video, a graphic, an interview, all of this at one time saying, "My recruitment shut down, I'm coming to Florida," like, people are gonna share that. People are gonna be confident. Florida is obviously going to gain confidence from hearing that from someone. I'm bought in, man. I'm here. So like I get the frustrations. They make sense. You have to keep in mind what we're dealing with here. A lot of us will never understand what these 11th hour situations are like. We'll never have any clue. Um, to offer to have this kind of attention and these kinds of people trying to lure us into their program. But I get the frustration too. I mean, it's a tough, weird industry. Weird
It it
industry.
it's a very unique one for sure. And look, to your point, you guys get a lot of flack for sometimes literally what we say on here, just reporting the news. And look, I appreciate you used a verbiage the other day. I was like, come on, man, like take it easy. You said I think you referred to somebody bouncing. I was like, you know, like they bounce. I don't
Oh
know
yeah.
who. I was
No,
like,
it was Bateman. It was Bateman this morning. I
oh,
did,
this
and
one.
I
I was
felt
like,
weird when
Zach,
I said it.
you ain't gotta say like that.
Yeah,
he's
it
like,
was
he's like,
well, I
he blew this popsicle stand. I was like, damn, Zach, like,
yeah,
what's up, bro?
it felt weird. I definitely was like, "Oh, man, like, I'm
But
kinda
hey,
being
it's
an
spot
asshole when I
on.
say
He
that." But
bounced.
also, like, yeah, he bounced the day after
Dude,
this is
it's
just
spot
me going
on.
on a personal tangent. Like, Miles Graham is great. I think he's obviously gonna be a fantastic player here. Aaron Childs, I tweeted this yesterday. That dude, count me in. Like, I think that guy is going to be an absolute stud. Jay Bateman brought in some dudes, and he up in next day. I'm going to my doctor's appointment, like I was telling you this morning, ready for my off season, and he's out of here.
He
He's out of here.
bounced.
Tw- 24 hours ago, he's posting pictures with these dudes saying, "Let's roll," and he bounced. So that's how
Look,
I felt in the
the
moment.
wording was perfect, but I was like, it stung. I was like, fuck, he's right. He's just, you know what I mean? But look, and that's why I think
Yeah.
you get a little flack. But I also, like you said, your feelings are involved. Like you're trying to head to the chiropractor, have a day off, and this son of a bitch has to come and ruin my damn day or just bounced on me, right? Like we want that from a writer too. So look, I support you. You know that I was just when I saw that I was like, this is why this guy gets hit. Hey, we're fighting shit like this.
I get it. I
But
sign up for it too. I know it too. I do think about it before I hit send. And
and you know
sometimes I choose.
that's what sucks too is that you should be able to rip that off, right, and be just like, hey, this is my feeling right now, and it may like you got to take it as it is. It's kind of, in my opinion, it's not comedy, but when you go to a comedy show, right, anything goes. I believe there is no line that can be crossed. And yes, I'm talking like literally, like it's a joke. And so if you're writing and you feel like this is how I feel in the moment, you gotta take it as kind of what that is, but not like, well, it's actually he's a piece of shit. He doesn't. Whoa. Like he's
Yeah.
writing, he's in the moment. Let's move on, take it, consume it. Like, all right, it was a little aggressive, maybe, but also too, like, how are you taking that? Like, I'm following this along, like you just said, I'm watching this, and then I wake up. So if you as a writer felt that way, who you've even said like, hey, I'm not a Gator fan, but I follow, I'm invested. How do you think Ernest Graham and Miles Graham felt? You
Yeah.
felt that way, right? So,
Yeah.
and again, I think we'll kind of move into that now. Let me go ahead and get Ernest Graham's Twitter, his tweet pulled up here, just a moment, so we can read that. Do you got to go, or are you good to go?
No, I'm good. All
Okay,
good.
cool. Um, let me get his tweet pulled up, and then we'll discuss it here. So, Ernest tweeted out, and when I saw this, my heart dropped because, and I'll explain here in a minute. But Ernest Graham, which is the father of Miles Graham, also Gator legend. My son was raised to understand the business as it exists, but there has never been new levels of disconnect with this program that I have never ever experienced. No calls, no communication, and the driest experience imaginable. I'm just going to start there. Now, disgruntled parents in college football, it's comes with it, right? This to me is not the same level as a disgruntled parent. I've met Ernest Graham. I've met Miles. I've interviewed Miles. He's been on the show. If you want to talk about uh, a incredible family that is loving, I remember I shook Ernest Graham's hand. This guy was absolutely yoked. He could have crushed me with a pinch, and it was just the most delicate, big teddy bear, just of appreciation. You felt it when you shook his hand. Just genuinely good people. And I was like, I cannot wait for these guys to be part of this team. Like these are program changing guys and families. Same thing with DJ Lagway when I met him and interviewed him, and the multiple conversations I have with him. You can just feel it when you talk to them. So when this hit, I knew because of those things, I was like, this is going to carry some weight, as it should. And I don't feel that his frustration is misplaced. It's not coming from a place of craziness. There's a legitimacy here. Now, the other side of it, though, I do believe it's a business, and unfortunately, this is the way of the world. And just like, if, like, at my job, somebody may get fired, my boss may get let go. The way that we're going to be presented to is not going to be the way that we want, and that's just the way that it is. That's just kind of the flows. So there's both sides. I understand both sides, but it feels, and this is where I'm going to start kind of probing you a little bit. Don't know what you can say, that a lot of people were blindsided, yourself included. Um, the kind of the murmurs is that Billy was blindsided, which sucks, but there's also some question marks, like you were kind of alluding to early on. Why was he blindsided? And then you wrote your article, which was referring to there was great communication. So let's kind of talk about that. Let's kind of go in chronological order. On Tuesday, your staff spoke with him, and he was happy with everything, from my understanding with the article.
I have the quote pulled up right here, and so that was part of why I wrote it too. Is like totally understand his frustration, and people took it as a hit piece because I wrote about his frustration. But I read this quote as to say that Ernest Graham, and I also agree with you, stand-up guy Miles has been raised the exact same way. Getting to meet both of them, they're great, great people. I'm not trying to accuse him of being dishonest when he says this, because again, he's angry, has every reason to be frustrated. But yeah, also like including this quote in the story was on Tuesday. His direct quote was, "They've both been phenomenal, both being Jay Bateman and Billy Napier. They've communicated well. They've made it very evident not only that they value Miles, but they were in tune with what he wanted to accomplish here and what it meant for him to play here at the University of Florida." So they've been great through the process. As parents, when you turn your children over to a program, those are the type of people that you want to turn them over to.
Mm,
That's where, and I include that to understand, to paint the bigger picture of maybe Ernest has very sincere concerns beyond this, where he says, "I'm going to start there," and that he's been having dry experiences. Like that could be very valid. But also, 2 days ago, unless this was a front, he didn't seem to necessarily feel that way. But it's also, it does paint the picture of what this recruitment was, like, and how this can feel like a stab in the back, because 2 days ago, everything was great. There was no sense on the recruits end, on the former NFL and college running backs end for that matter. So someone that's very familiar with how these situations go, as he said it, how the business goes. For him to have felt this backstabbed, to me also does kind of speak volumes. And again, I do question, even if it is true. Let's say for the sake of the argument that Jay Bateman woke up early this morning and Mike Elko, he woke up to the phone call from Mike Elko saying, "Hey, come join me." Um, and I just don't really choose that to be. I don't really believe that to be the reality, because that's just not how it works. I mean, if that were the case, I think Florida would have had its defensive line coach on Monday, when I'm told they originally interviewed uh, Gerald Chapman from Tulane. That's when they had him in the house originally to go over the defensive line job. He's still not officially the coach, and it's Thursday night. So it doesn't happen that quickly. And it would not have turned around to a media leak that quickly. Jay Bateman, I don't think, had the time to agree to that deal.
mm,
Um, so even if it were last night, this is something that Billy Napier, on his salary as the head coach at the University of Florida, again, like I said, Jay Bateman's on an expiring deal. Multiple coaches are. You got to be aware of, if you want to lock a guy up, get him locked up. If you think that, even if you don't have him locked up yet, if you think he's going to garner interest elsewhere, you got to stay on top of that situation. And so, even if this is the truth, even if Billy Napier was totally caught, um, just unprepared by this, and it happened in a split second, to me, it's his job to be prepared for this kind
mm,
of situation. Again, Jay Bateman, I can keep hyping him up all day here for this class in particular, at the very least. And I know linebacker play hasn't been great, but 2022, it looked pretty good with Ventrell Miller and a career year from Omari Burney. Shamar James, when he was healthy this year, looked like an all SEC kind of player for the most part, and obviously a key part of this defense. And these recruits he brought in yesterday, it obviously an integral part of this staff and is going to be missed. So you have to have this kind of situation under control. Even if Bateman's going to leave, you need to obviously be able to avoid what is undoubtedly a public relations obstacle when former players are tweeting like this.
So it is interesting because, like, back to your article for a quick moment, because you said your article was a bash piece, which I think is crazy because, again, I felt like you were in a sense defending, right? That, hey, this is how Ernest felt, like you said, 48 hours ago, and how I read it, I was like, well, because when you first read this tweet, I started thinking, okay, defensive line coach gets fired, cornerback coach gets fired. That felt like people got blindsided there, right? You had players reacting, so I was assuming that, hey, this is another example of that, right? He felt like they were blindsided once again. But again, when you spoke to them on Tuesday, he felt a lot different. Like you also said, big day, exciting day, could have been on front. So I appreciated the information because obviously at the time that it happened, I was like, I felt like lost. Like, what's happening here? Are we gonna is this thing gonna fall apart? How does he feel? Like it feels like a lock, right? Just because it's just through and through. But I'm sure he still is frustrated with how it played out. And that's my thing with the whole Bateman situation. Obviously, everyone has had their opinion about it, of how it's unfolded. And like you said, what if he did call and do these things? But also, like you just said, you know, it does take a while these processes, to roll out. But we've also seen coaches leave in the middle of the night, right? Jimbo did it to FSU, Lincoln did it to Oklahoma, so it's not uncommon for a defensive lineman to do it as a DC. I don't know, but I think your biggest nail on the head is that your guy was set to not have a job in a month technically because it's coming up and expire. You didn't extend it. So he might be thinking I might be on the hot seat. I don't know what's going on. You might be just waiting for my thing to expire to let me go versus having to pay me out for the next month. Who knows how it was playing out. And again, it falls back on him not being aware that this could happen and say, hey, to be ready for this conversation, say, have something written up to say, hey, if this happens, so and so, you're calling so and so, and so and so, you're calling this person, right? Like you have to think 3 steps ahead. You're the CEO. We've been all the things that we've all been kind of giving him credit for. Great CEO, great recruiter. Starting to swing and a miss on these things, Billy. And that's where you're a nice guy. We love you, like I just was talking about. But the things that we need you to be good at and great at, there's just so many question marks. And this is where we're starting to get frustrated.
Yeah, there are, and yeah, to the point of my piece, I didn't view it as even bashing or defense. I felt it as truly putting out just
Reporting the
both
news.
sides,
Yeah, just
reporting the news,
here's what
just
it
reporting the
is.
news.
Take it as you will. Like this is how it's unfolded. I don't know how to digest it either, but maybe you can digest it, right? It's complete your own ending. That's the best kind of director, right? You write your own ending, but here's the plot.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel as though we're just still so far removed from this ending, you know, like we've got I mean, just to even look bigger picture here, we got a lot of changes to look forward to. We still have to get this defensive line coach hire finalized, even though again pretty much all know who it is at this point. But this is another position, whether or not, and to my point earlier, I feel as though Billy Napier had to have anticipated this in some capacity. Is he going to be prepared to get a new linebackers coach in quickly? I mean, last year, Kiri Colbert left later than the other coaches at wide receiver or Colbert, and it took them some time to eventually circle in on Billy Gonzalez. So this will certainly be a test for Billy Napier as he balances trying to also find a new strength and conditioning coordinator and find a position to put Mark Hockey into because he's maintaining a what I would imagine to be most of his salary that he was getting as strength and conditioning coordinator, but is now, as Billy Napier said yesterday, being reassigned. And then you got to get into the offensive coaching changes too, because Billy Napier said they're going one box at a time. So he definitely didn't rule out the possibility of changes on the offensive side. I'm kind of in the believe it when I see it boat there, but that he's got a lot on his plate right now. So this is just, again, let alone finding the next linebackers coach too. When it comes to the Ernest Graham comments and the player reaction, how are players on the team going to react to losing their position coach like this? Um, Obviously, the recruits too. Again, they're signed. You would hope that all is good there, but what's going to happen? There's still a lot more that can come from this as well.
So let's before you go, a little crash course here.
Mm.
I know there's been some names passed around for the linebacker coach. I want to get your takes on that. I want to get a scenario question in. I don't think Brandon Spikes can be the linebacker coach because he's not graduated yet, right? So that's just a pipe dream. We can move past that pretty quickly, right?
I believe so. I believe so.
So
And I mean, I would I would think they wanna hire someone that's got experience. No
fair
slight to
enough.
Brandon, but, like, experience
Yeah.
coaching the position in a year like this, they have to.
People, that was more for the fan. I agree with you, but the fans are like, why don't you just give it to Brandon Spikes?
Yeah.
It's bigger than that. But all right, so let's go A B. A, there's the A option. Austin takes over that staff, linebacker class, which then opens up an on-field position for coaching staff, which is offensive coordinator. That's option A. So the question for that is, do you think that's a possibility? If so, who do you like for offensive coordinator? If that is a real thing. Option B, they get a linebacker coach. Who do you like for that? And do they also get an offensive coordinator, or do you think that could be the close? Because strength and conditioning coaching be the last one. Hey, I'm hitting you with all the. I'm giving you the Zach Goodall. All right, we're
It's
you're,
good.
you're Billy. I'm Zach. You know what I'm saying? I'm going.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's good.
you're handling him a lot better than Billy, though. You're not tiptoeing around it. So I do appreciate that.
Well, that's nice to know because I was talking with someone earlier today actually about being in a press conference. Like, I do have to give Billy some credit while I get annoyed with the pushback. Like, I don't know how I would handle being on camera with thousands of people watching me. I just don't. Be
Well,
impressed. I
hey,
don't.
you're doing it right now.
Well,
There's
but
800
I'm
people
not
in
I'm
here.
not but I don't have 5,000 people all screaming at me like Billy does. But yeah, true
That's
that.
true.
So with I guess I'll just start with offense because I just don't know. Like these Willie Corn rumors that are going around, like no one of like real like source worthiness has come to me and said anything about Willie Corn. So maybe I'm out of the loop, but I just don't know anything about it. And when it comes to I, that's my answer to offensive coordinator. Just broadly speaking, I don't know about coordinators. I think that's a possibility in the sense of like the coaching new setup again, like with the idea that Billy's looking into the potential of those moves once he gets through all this. Again, I don't necessarily know if I believe it until I see it, but he didn't shut it down yesterday. He had every reason if he chose to hold on to offensive play calling duties to just be like, "Yep, nipping this in the bud real quick when you guys asked me. I'm holding
Sure.
on. Let's whatever." And he didn't. And there are multiple coaches contracts up there, Rob Sale, Darnell Stapleton, Jabbar Jalouk on that side of the ball. I expect some extensions, but we just are going to see how that plays out. All of that is to say is I could definitely see Austin Armstrong, who was hired to be the inside linebackers coach at Alabama, taking over that position. While Corey Raymond was the secondary coach last year, he was still really mainly coaching the corners because it was Austin that was coaching the safeties for the most part. They're big parts of the signal calling in this defense. So he was really hands on with the safety development there. Um, but he's got the experience. He could definitely step down and coach linebackers. It opens that position for the offense, which I know a lot of people would like. It it also opens up the potential for them to hire a safeties coach to pair just have Will Harris coach corners or safeties for that matter and hire a corners coach. It would it gives them flexibility because of Austin's experience, certainly. They could go a couple of different ways with this. And my original thought actually was that it would be Austin rather than an outside hire. And maybe that was because I just wasn't too privy on potential names at first, and I've not really heard any since I came up with that have made me think, oh no, duh, like that clearly makes sense to be the guy. I mean, people have talked about Jamar Chaney. He's been here twice, so maybe third time's the charm on an on-field job. Um, but otherwise, there's not really been anyone that's just been like, oh yeah, like
No
that one would
brainer.
make sense to me. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I see the vision. I definitely see the vision with the responsibility change for Austin Armstrong to take that over. I could see that
So
happening.
you said step down. Do you think Austin would pass up DC, or he would be both? He'd be
Oh,
both.
no, no, I'm sorry. Step down from, like, safety to linebacker in the
Ah,
literal, like
stepping down in the field.
sorry.
Okay. Okay.
I hope people didn't no, sorry.
I didn't think
Sorry.
so. I was like, I was like, I think I
No.
was assuming you're gonna like step down and take both roles, right?
Yeah,
Um,
DC/linebackers instead of DC/safeties, like, the literal down to the second level of the defense.
and so look, here's my question to that, if because that does seem likely, and it doesn't seem like a horrible idea, especially because he was brought on to Alabama, like you said, to be an inside linebacker coach. So this, I mean, he basically what Jay Bateman's doing, right? Linebacker going to DC, he could probably manage both. But then I asked the question: we're screaming at Billy because he's trying to do multiple things. this isn't the same thing, right? This. I mean, obviously, I guess he was doing both already anyway, so he's already been doing two roles. Now, that could be a question like, is that a lot to take on as a DC to manage both roles? Is that a commonality? You see where I'm going? Is it too overwhelming for him, or do you think that that's going to be just fine?
I think it's a little more common for coordinators to have a position. Like for Billy, he's got head coaching, coordinating, and quarterbacks. So that I mean that is a lot. And I think head coaching on top of coordinating is also a lot. You got to be a special breed to do that successfully, to do both. You can be good at one and not the other, and try and do the other. And we've seen both ends of that spectrum here. I think really in the past few years, quite frankly. But um, no, you see it more with coordinators. Todd Grantham was quietly the Bucks coach, the Buck edge rusher when he was here last time, and, like, Todd Grantham was a pretty bad coordinator, but that position did get some quality, playing time out of it too. All that's very anecdotal, obviously, and just from my own personal, but I've seen it. I've seen it work. I think you can look toward the safety development of the 2 freshmen this year, and while Corey Raymond might have influenced that too, like, positives from Austin Armstrong, it shows that
For
he's
sure.
got some player development skills, and he's again, with his past there, and with knowing the role that that would have been at Alabama for him too, among other places that he's coached linebackers. I definitely think he's qualified to handle it.
Awesome. Well, Zach, dude, this is always a blast. I love getting to pick your brain and get your thoughts and opinions on it. I appreciate you on your day off hanging out with us and chit chatting with us. Tell them where they can find you. Again, guys, follow them. You drop incredible articles. You're always on top of it, whether you're bouncing around or whatever you're doing. Look, I think you got a great perspective on it, and I appreciate you always keeping it a buck and handling the hard questions, man. So thank you.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate you having me. If you guys are looking for any work as we get into this, what I'm sure will be very exciting and very fast off season, find me on Twitter X at Zach_Goodall.
And when is the next Napier presser? Do you know?
I would think we'll get one for National Signing Day, which I'm
February.
sorry, I don't know exactly what day it is,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, we usually have one for both. I guess it depends on what their activity level looks like between now and then, but I would assume they'll get more players, definitely transfers, in which case that would be likely it.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, thank you, Zach. We're about to bring in Stephen Harris. So don't go anywhere, guys. But thank you, sir. I appreciate you as always. You have a great rest of your night. And Merry Christmas, Zach. Thank you, man.
Thanks, man. Merry Christmas. Talk to you
Y-
soon.
Yes, sir. Well, boys and girls, that was a good one. We'll have Stephen Harris on in just a moment. He got a new mic and he sounds like Mr. Barry Manilow. So y'all might want to buckle up, sit back, relax. It's going to be a good one. But Texas A&M's made it personal. Okay. I was sitting here. I was talking to Sorley earlier. He's been in his fields lately. And going after they got Kendall Jackson, they got Coach Chaos, Isaiah Williams, and now the way they did this Jay Bateman business, we got him week 3. I was saying, I was like, you know what we need to do, this schedule is such a damn gauntlet. Get rid of Sampson. I went Texas A&M twice. Let's have him at home in the swamp, and then let's go to Texas A&M. Let's wear that ass out. Every game next year on this schedule is personal. I mean, it's more personal in my opinion than it ever. I don't know what it is. It just feels like what's happening is these coaches and everybody feels like they're picking on Billy. They smell blood in the water, and they're taking advantage of the nice guy. That's what it is. Nice guys finish last, so I hate that, but that's what it feels like. Billy needs to sack up, scare money, don't make money, and punch somebody in the mouth. That needs to be the vibe. Not us versus everybody. It's let's go kill somebody. It might be a bit egregious, but that needs to be the mentality. All right, not us versus no. It's either you're alive or you're dead. There's no other option here. Kill somebody, plaster them. Let's head into Champs Corner, ladies and gentlemen, before I get too rowdy here. Stephen Harris, aka Barry Manilow, let him know what's going on,
What's
big dog.
going on? What's going on? What's going on?
Well, I feel that. I feel that on my chest.
Yeah, you feel that? Yeah, you're gonna make me roar.
Hey, if Miss Harris, the wife's watching, she might be. Hey, she'll be fired up after. She's like, I
It
saw you
might
on
be a good
TV.
night.
I saw you on TV, baby. He sounded good. I love it. I love it.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
man. We got to
I
talk all
appreciate
about
you,
it.
boss.
I appreciate you, man. We got to talk all about it, man. It was a
Yeah,
bit.
man.
I texted you. You even knew. I just hit you with the gift, like,
Yeah, welcome to the show, man.
We were
Yeah, you
we were
can't
we
write
were
the script.
we were texting. I was like, bro, it's like a damn reality TV show. I hit send, you hit
Yeah.
send. You're like, it's a reality TV show. I was like, we're synced up with this nonsense. It's crazy right now.
Yeah. Well, we win the championship in the end, though, guys. So y'all, y'all calm down. It's a circus now, but we win in the end.
The script writers got it dialed in. Everybody relax.
Yeah.
Everybody relax.
It's a drama.
Boys and girls, Mr. Stephen Harris here with us. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe on the way to 20,000 subs. Help us get there. But let's talk about it. I don't know how much you can talk, what you can tell me. But Ernest Graham,
Yeah.
you were chit chatting with him a little bit today. You picked.
I try, yeah, I try to reach out to him. I know he's having a busy day, but definitely a big brother of mine took me under his wing when I came in as a freshman. A real leader, a genuine person. Him and Rand Carthon, they shared the backfield together. And Rand's one of my frat brothers, obviously the GM up there in Indy. So, but yeah, those guys are great man, great Gators, man. And this him voicing his frustrations, looking at how the news dropped. And you always gotta, for me, you always gotta check the source of how the information got out and when it got out, and was there any ill intention there. You know what I mean? For as fast as the information got out, for him to not get notified. So he's going to voice his frustration. Obviously, his son just signed. Big deal. Everybody's happy and celebrating. And to get blindsided like that as a father. And a little bit of his frustration is just a former player. He is Ernest Graham. If everybody knows who he is. We know what he did. We know what his career was like. If you're a Gator, and so for him, I know there's a level of respect that you just feel you deserve. It's not saying that you high and mighty or anything like that. You just know you feel, you gave a lot to the university. You represent the university well. Your name still carries weight for the university. You're still a great ambassador of the university. So to get blindsided, it's going to make you feel some type of way. So I know you feel like he should have got a call. And maybe they just didn't have time the way it broke. But I believe some of it, and I may be over speaking, but just in my opinion, I believe some of his frustration is not just that, but could be other things. Maybe the way he was treated around the program, and not necessarily saying this from Coach Napier, but there could have been some disconnect at that position with the linebacker coach, with Coach Bateman. And as a father, you can kind of sense it if someone is being genuine. But I know Ernest Graham is a great Gator, and he wears the orange and blue. He bleeds orange and blue, so he would never say anything about the coaches to cause disdain on them.
Sure.
So I know in the interview with Zach Goodall, awesome, by the way. Hey,
Great,
good job. Yeah, you got in. That was good. I know in that piece, he gave Coach Napier and Coach Bateman a lot of praise. Ernest Graham did, but he wouldn't say anything less. But I know a lot of those external connections come from like Spikes and Mike Peterson. These are Gator legends in themselves.
Both guys who
played.
tweeted, they retweeted
Yeah.
Ernest's tweet, basically like, "Hey, big bro,
Hey, your son's in good hands."
I was like,
Yeah,
I was like this.
yeah, and I'm sure the tweets only came after they tried to reach out to him personally. But I'm sure he
For sure,
shut
yeah,
down.
that was like a damage control PR move.
Yeah, I'm sure they all reached out to him. Probably couldn't reach him at the time just because frustrated. Hey, we got a lot of adrenaline. To play this game, you got to have a lot of passion, and sometimes you're gonna wear it, and sometimes it's gonna come out. But you still got to be man enough to own it. So, that was Ernest Graham expressing his frustrations. But I know they tried to reach out to him. I'm sure they probably talked by now, and everything's cool because he is in good hands. Mike Peterson is there. Brandon Spikes is there. I know people saying Spikes should be the linebacker coach. He will get my vote. His experience as far as coaching guys, I know he knows how to connect with players.
Sure.
So and he has experience in playing the game. Played for a while in the league, and I know he knows how to read film and stuff like that. And then you're surrounded by great guys. So I know a lot of the linebackers that came to the program are happy that is there, and was one of the major perks for them coming there. So and then Austin, um, he's the coordinator. When it comes down to that position, the linebacker coach leaving, Austin should have been the first one to know to me. If it was coming from Coach Bateman, you're leaving from under his stewardship.
Sure.
He's the defensive coordinator. So, but like last year, we sucked. And from my perspective, I've said it many times. I saw a disconnect between the defensive line and linebackers and how they were playing. But Austin is the coordinator, and they didn't extend these guys' contract.
Maybe
The
for
window
reason,
was getting close, and
right?
maybe
Yeah.
for good reason. But the positions where we like that, and some of the stuff I've seen, the guys are no longer there, and the hires that we have, I feel no shot to any of the guys, but I feel like we upgraded. Just far as the level of knowledge that the guys that we have for the game, and their ability to teach these kids. I feel like we upgraded. I did my research on the defensive line coach, and
Good
the
stuff. Hey,
guy's fantastic.
hey guys, Mr. Harris is prepared. We talked. I told him, I was like, hey, he knew I was
Yeah,
gonna have questions. So real quick before I let you go though, 9 o'clock,
yeah.
Zay Mincy posted on his Instagram that he's going to sign. I have it pulled up and ready to go in
Oh
case
man.
it goes live, but I don't. The noise that's been spread is that he has to sign, but he's not announcing until the Under Armour game. That has been kind of the
Okay.
message across the board. So I wouldn't put too much weight into it, but if he does go live
Yeah.
for any reason and announces it, we will go to that on the show.
Yeah, that would be
So
cool. Yeah.
we'll be ready. Just so you guys, I see you guys in the comments. We're prepared. So we got 3 minutes for that. But yeah, so go ahead, talk about the defensive line coach. I want to get your thoughts and opinions on it because a lot of people are like, "Who is this
Yeah.
guy?" But you kind of dig a little bit deeper. I actually read a cool article about him. He was a coach at Colorado, the defensive line coach at Colorado. Let me just read this really
Mhm.
quick. Actually, I think I lost it now. And he the job they fired the entire coaching staff because it was the season they won one game, and he was the defensive line coach. He was promoted to defensive coordinator, and this defense was being thrashed the entire season. Yeah, I can't find it. Was being thrashed the entire season. They gave him the promotion to defensive coordinator for that job. That game, the defense held that opposing team to 35 rushing yards, and it was the only one win of the season. So kind of like a cool
Yeah.
feel good story. Like when given the
Yeah.
opportunity to thrive, he did. Now they didn't win anymore. Obviously, he wasn't calling the other side of the ball, but the scheme, from what I read, was giving the opposing team some fits. And I feel like he's going to be, from reading that, and we've talked about Austin Armstrong schemes, where like, hey, they're a little complex, but once you kind of buy into it, this thing
Yeah.
can get moving here. That was the vibe that I got from Chapman when I read those things.
Yeah, he's definitely a defensive line coach that has a lot of versatility. He knows how to coach a position, no matter the front that you're running. Me and you talked about as far as what I like to run. I was saying 4-3, but this coach is versatile at coaching the 3-4 and 4-3. So he knows how to get those guys prepared, and he's a smart coach. From what I gather from him as far as game planning. You know how I talked about Coach Madison so highly about getting us prepared for the game as a unit, knowing what the opponent wanted to do. This guy brings that to the table, just from his history, and just seeing some of the stuff that Carlos Dunlap said about him. We know everybody that watch football should know who Carlos Dunlap is, especially if you're a Gator. But he had high praise for the coach and just his ability to get you prepared for the game. And how smart he was. Carlos Dunlap was under Coach Greg Madison for a while there. So I know he got the same tutelage that I got from Coach Madison, and for him to speak highly of Coach Chapman in that same regard lets me know that he's legit. And just his techniques. He knows how to get it done. His training. The level of training that he brings to the table and why you're doing it. It doesn't seem like he wastes any of the movements out there for the guys. Just looking at some of the stuff he does, is out there. You guys should research it, look him up. It's on YouTube. He seems like a fantastic hire to me. Somebody to get these guys going, to get them moving out of their hips and just understanding the defensive line position. It's more than just running into people if you want to be successful. So I believe he possesses all that. So I'm happy about it.
And that's where, like, again, the news that dropped today with Ernest was just such a buzzkill because it's like, all right, we got past the drama, which I'm gonna press you like I did Zach. We got some questions about Mr. Isaiah Williams. You gave us some good
Uh-oh.
heat. Hey, you knew it was coming. Don't play that with me. So I was making sure Zay's not live because it is 9 o'clock. I don't see him live right now, guys. So again, if he goes live, we will go to that for any reason. If he does anything, if he doesn't go live too, you guys can always let me know. So, I lost my train of thought now. What I was going to say about what were we saying? Sorry,
You were talking to me about Messi. I mean, not Messi, but Isaiah.
Isaiah. I wanted to get to Isaiah, but I forgot what I was talking about the defensive line coach. I completely drew a blank there. Oh, so yeah, we had momentum, right? In the sense that it's like, okay, the days past us. We signed LJ McCray because that was a little scary at first, but we were able to close the class in. It wasn't where everyone wanted to finish, but ultimately we got the two guys that we really needed to get, and I felt we're headed in the right direction. And I was like, all right, let's get into this offseason. And again, I kept referring to this Ernest Graham situation as like a pebble on the road. But the problem is we've had a ton of pebbles on the road, and now it feels like it's a boulder just hit the truck, right? Because
Yeah.
a disgruntled parent, these things happen. They get frustrated with how things are going. And look, your kid just signed to this team, and then the guy that he's passing his child off to leaves. So his frustration, like you
Yeah.
said, was definitely warranted. I don't think there was anybody that was like, who like
No,
this is. Nobody was saying
yeah,
that. Everybody was like, yeah,
no,
this. He's in the right. He's right here, guys. Like we feel the same way. So,
yeah.
but it's
I wouldn't want to paint. I don't want to paint Coach Bateman as a bad guy or disingenuous. You know, everybody. This business right now, college football, everybody's doing what's best for them. And that's going
it's a
to roll
dog eat
down to the
dog world,
coaching
man.
level. They got Coach Spence over there. So there's a lot of connections between Texas A&M and him going over there. So I don't. For me, to say that it was last minute for Coach Bateman, like you just heard about it this morning, I'll have a hard time believing that. But if he did, and he made that commitment, and he didn't get the time to tell everybody, that would look at Texas A&M taking a shot at us.
It's personal. Hey, no, it's personal. All right, it's
Yeah, no,
100%.
yeah, because you got to look at how it came out. If for him not to have the time and put everybody in panic mode for them to release it, obviously we didn't release it first.
Sure.
So obviously there was a rat there who wanted to wish us ill will, but
Couple of those
hey,
running around.
it's part of the business. But I believe we'll adapt. Like Coach Austin Armstrong, he is capable of coaching the linebackers. Will do a fantastic job at it. It's his defense, his scheme. We have a D-line coach that's coming in. We got Coach Harris to coach up the corners and safeties. We don't need 1,000 coaches at every position. We need people that know what they're doing. As far as the defensive line coach, you may have guys that teach technique, this and this and that, but you don't need 2 defensive line coaches. You don't need 2 linebacker coaches or 2 safety coaches. If you know what you're doing, you only need one of those. And Coach Strong, when we played, was linebackers coach and defensive coordinator.
Okay.
So and then when Coach Madison came along, they were co-defensive coordinator, and Coach Madison coached the defensive line. So if you're co-defensive coordinator, only one person called the play, so you're kind of like bounce ideas off each other during the week, but during the game, only one person really calling the play.
Sure.
So wearing 2 hats is definitely not
Doable.
uncommon for a defensive coordinator.
Because I asked Zach. I think obviously you'd be much more comfortable.
I actually prefer the defensive coordinator to coach a position, and that would be
more hands-on,
possibly
right?
the position where he would where the defense will most thrive through. Coach Strong, coach the linebackers, so the linebacker is going to be responsible for making most of the plays.
And look, that's the heart of the defense, right? That's the quarterback of the defense. So if there's, and this is the thing, right? Like how we have to envision this is that we're bought into Billy and we're bought into Austin. I know people don't think he can do a good job or don't trust it or think that's a whole other way of thinking. But how I envision this, we got to turn it into positive, right? Like if we're bought in, this should be exciting because we're trusting the process, we're trusting the rebuild, And this is a positive thing. Somebody who was brought into Bama to be the linebacker coach is now going to take over for us on top of managing the entire defense. And look, I didn't realize that he was in charge of that safety room, and that safety room was pretty stellar last year.
Thrive. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Young
it was
guys were balling.
yeah, fantastic. So now we got Gregory Smith in there. I don't know. I know a guy who coached him. A pretty close connection there. So a lot of people got fired up after that. I clipped that up because I thought that was a really good thing that people were excited to hear. We don't always get those insights from some of these recruits, right? We get
Yeah,
on
no.
3 and 247's perspective, and some stars are like, yeah, that guy's good, but to get somebody who
Yeah.
actually played or coached with him, much different perspective for sure.
Yeah, definitely blessed just to have been around him, get to see him grow as a kid and go on to the next level. I know he's gonna be great for us. Just a matter of time. I know he's gonna put the work in, and with the good coaching, he's a smart kid already. So, yeah,
So we've got So nothing's happened on his Instagram for Zay Mincy, but a lot of players, Josiah Davis, Caden Daniels, they're all tweeting at him saying Zay Mincy to the swamp. Not sure if it's going to influence him here, but we'll see. Quick $10 from Shakawa Ginyard, I believe. Hopefully I pronounce that. Shaka. Billy is already doing what the previous handful of coaches haven't. Changed his staff and positions that underachieved, and even fired himself from OC and is bringing in someone. And that was something that I alluded to yesterday about him demoting Mark Hawk was, look, that's a big time move. That is a serious. And let me ask you, because obviously, again, being part of that, when we talked with Nick Del Toro, he didn't think he'd make a move because of how important there is to that strength and conditioning coach. Because look, on the offseason, that's your guy, right? Tell people at home how that is for you, because you obviously lived that life. Like, who is that guy? Who is the strength coordinator to the team?
He's very vital. He's responsible for getting you the gains, getting you faster, getting you bigger, getting you stronger, getting you in shape. I know when Herb was there, like the coaches turn. It's a period of time where the coaches can't be around the team, and he turns the team over to the strength and conditioning coach, and they're expected to bring you back in a certain condition. And Herb always had a big meeting before he released us to him, and he would put the strength and conditioning coach on blast and let him know, hey, I'm releasing them to you. When I get them back, this is where they need to be. And they will have certain metrics for every player, and it's strict for as far as your diet, what you're eating, and how you're training. So we had Coach Mickey Marati. Man, those guys were. I mean, you guys seen our workouts. Urban wasn't nowhere around for some of those things. So it was all on what they did with us, taking us out in the fields and stuff like that. So the strength coach is a big part of what makes a program. They don't get enough credit, but those guys do a lot for us. And then as far as just developing the players, the assistant strength coach, the guys that are around, we had guys like Coach Mark, who was around for us, and he was a big part of our culture and making sure that the players were doing the right things and checking in with us daily. So the strength and conditioning coach plays a big part. And we've talked about it before. All the areas that we talked about that we needed to fix, it seems like they're either working themselves out or we're fixing them. So while
It's
it
almost
comes,
like we know what we're talking about, Steven. It's weird. Like, I don't know.
It comes
I know a
left
thing or
field.
two.
It may come left field right now, but I mean, these are things that we needed to address. So we're getting it done now. Then we'll have time to circle the wagon, spring. You know what I mean, and be able to work it out. So I'd rather it happen now than down the road. I don't want to kick the can down the road.
I think so. Again, me being the Disney Gator that I am, at work we have a sales script, and you have to follow along with the sales script. And why it's important to follow along with the script, because if there's an issue, if you have a hiccup, it's easy to point back to, hey, this is where you messed up in the script. If you're not following the script, it's harder for me to fix the problem, because you're not even following the step-by-step solution for me to point to one particular thing. Like, we got a disaster here. I think that is a positive note in a weird way, is I feel like we're on script. And the reason why, what I mean by that is that we're able to identify where the holes are. Where in years past, it just felt like everything was collapsing, right? Where it's like, hey, okay, we fixed this. All of a sudden, things are clicking. Where the year prior, right, we were kind of just felt like we were going through the motions, but we couldn't really see
Hmm.
what the true issue was. So I
Right.
think that's a sign of positive that we're able to really identify like that's an issue, and that's an issue. We fix this, this, and this. And look, that's a lot. I understand that, but at least it feels like there's some structure. Am I right in
Yeah.
thinking that?
No, no, you're definitely right. I mean, from what I believe coach is trying to do, he's trying to build a culture there. And it doesn't happen overnight. Everybody has to buy in, and there's a weed out process. The people that don't buy in, you got to weed them out. And some people are gonna may fake the funk for a while till they find a better ship to jump on. But um, you got to weed it out and get it how you want it. And some people buy in for a second, but Armstrong's the leader of the defense right now. He's our coordinator. We have to trust in him to get everything right on that side of the ball. Of course, Billy's the head coach, but we needed help on defense this year, and I believe we're going out and getting that. And just and I believe Florida's being strategic. The way we're dropping news, um, trying to get out ahead of things. Especially, we announced the wide receiver that we were going to get before Isaiah Williams. I wouldn't call it a flip, but before he committed to Texas A&M. But I believe Florida was ahead of that, knowing that he wasn't going to be coming to Florida and going out and getting a veteran wide receiver. And then we announced the defensive line coach, and then softly. But we didn't do that before with any other position like that. And then we get the commitment from LJ. So I believe that the information is going around. May not be how we like it, but in a weird way, I can see what they're doing. We're definitely going to piece some pieces together from this portal after these bowl games and all this stuff. People are going to make a dash at the portal, but overall, from the way we were last year, we're moving forward. If you really look at it,
So let's talk a little bit about Isaiah Williams. So we were talking
yeah,
before you were headed to his signing day, and the crystal ball came in that he would be flipping. And I go, hey, what's up? You're our guy. You're our inside scoop here. What's happening? But then we're
yeah,
texting, we're talking about it, and you're like, yeah, A&M is pushing really heavy on three of our guys here. They're really recruiting
yeah.
three of them, and two of the three, including Isaiah, went to Texas A&M because of that. But while we were texting, I was like, look, what do you think's gonna happen? The Shamir DK, Wisconsin wide receiver. And you're like, yep,
Mm-hmm.
there's the move. That is to counter what's more than likely. Again, you didn't know, right? We were just assuming
Yeah.
that was what was going to
I
happen.
yeah, I had I have a connection with Isaiah.
Oh, do you?
We always
Well,
on
well,
no,
thanks for the
we
help.
always on we always on Instagram. I know I'm encouraging him. I encourage him a lot. He's been committed to University of Florida. The coaches has been out there asking me about him. He's performed. So we have a connection, and I could feel the energy from him that things were changing.
Mm,
You know what I mean? I saw the picture of three of our guys. It was Anthony Carey, Isaiah, and Solomon Williams. They were on a visit together at Texas A&M. Saw the picture, and I responded to him, let him know that no, hey, it's a dope picture, like all three of you guys together. And just from his response, I kind of got a hint that it was probably over from there. You know what I mean?
sure.
Um, I know one thing about Isaiah. He loved the Gators. I'm not sure what the disconnect was, but the way Florida moved to with that other wide receiver, it kind of leads me to believe it probably wasn't all on Isaiah. Um, and then Texas A&M is getting a great guy, so I'm not sure how much Florida really pushed. As far as I know, people bring up NILs and stuff like that. I don't know what his situation is at Texas A&M, but I know he's a great kid, and just from the look at him, I know it just in my heart of hearts, I know he wanted to be a Gator, but he's doing what's best for him and his family.
And look, I think that's a lot of people miss out on and have a hard time understanding that is that look, sometimes it's just the NIL opportunity. It's just like, look, this is too good not to go. As much as I would love to play here right now where I'm at, and this is where people have all like a lot of people have said that it's could be some life changing opportunities to go to this direction.
Yeah,
And it's like I'd be dumb not
it's,
to, right? Like I'm playing ball anywhere I go, but this one could be a little
yeah,
bit better. And look, with the transfer portal, things may open up after the fact. So hey, like
Yeah.
this could be a short-term stepping stone. I'm gonna take this right now because it feels good. And look, I feel like A&M went and poached a couple of our guys. That's why it's personal. You know what I mean? I mean, I know
Yeah, no, yeah. A&M, I don't know what they got going on. Tell what y'all got going on.
they got that oil cheddar. All right. And for some, I genuinely believe a lot of schools, Auburn, these guys. Two parts to this. One, I think they're picking on Billy. They smell blood in the water, and they're capitalize on it as anybody would, right? Where Elko and Auburn are, they're in a special place. We were in that place 2 years ago. They are in the ability to sell Pipe Dream. They have the ability to sell Pipe Dream, and they also have a ton of money in a board of directors that are adjusted to this new world of NIL. Where when Billy came into Florida, it was still kind of transitioning, and I feel like we're still in weird transitioning process. We've done a great job with the NIL collective in the sense of once the players are on campus, getting these guys actual genuine deals. I think they're doing a phenomenal job, but the front half seems to be a little more in the old fashioned era from what I'm hearing, right? And that's kind of the boards. Like we talk about Billy being the CEO. Well, even though a company has a CEO, there's still a board of directors, right? So the CEO might have a plan and a vision, but if you can't convince the board of directors to vote that direction, it doesn't matter what he says.
Yeah. I mean, we're in a tough time where you got a budget and you got to balance it. You can go heavy on recruits, and then you have the portal. So it's like, what do you do? Do you fix the problems, or do you make the fans happy? For me, do you throw all the money at getting young guys that may still need some type of development that are not just there yet? And how long do you keep those young guys? And if they don't play, do they get disgruntled? But you threw all this money up front, or do you sit back and wait to get some veterans that just didn't have or not getting the exposure they would at another school, but you need this piece. So you can feed them a little bit. You can say, hey, I can give you this because your school wasn't giving you that. But would you rather give that to a proven guy or give it to a recruit? Because you can go out and overload this.
Zay Minty's live. Zay Minty is live.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We'll get you in here. Okay, we're here now, boys and girls. 800 people in the chat. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe. I don't know if he's going to give who he's signing with, but hell, we're going to be here ready to rock and roll if he does. I feel like, every time Steve's been on here the last few times, we've been getting hot and rowdy and spicy. I love it.
News.
You know what I mean? Like we've been bouncing, and now we got Barry Manilow here, boys, which is a good time. Zay Mincy is live. It looks like he's holding the pin up right now. There is no audio, so it's not like I don't have the audio playing. There is no audio coming from this right now, just so you guys are aware. I think he might have himself muted, which is also what LG McCray did last night. Now, I'm just saying there's some correlation there. Maybe they, How do you feel about this?
Man, you never know. Don't get me to guessing. You honestly never know. It would be a shocker, man, if we could pull something out, man.
I got crystal ball to Bama last night. Would love this. This would be a good pickup. This would, I think, settle even some more nerves, especially with the news today.
How accurate have those crystal balls been?
They're usually pretty good, but this last 24 hours, I think they've been a little more off the beaten path. But they hit more than I would like.
So
That's for sure.
Crossed. Fingers crossed.
Oh!
Uh-oh. Boy, you better stop playing.
Bro. Let's go.
Uh-oh.
You still on mute, bro. See that right there?
Yeah. Get him off mute, kid.
Go ahead.
Come on, man. Stop playing. Tell him, tell him stop playing, kid.
Watch him bring in like someone else from like Bama.
Tell him stop playing.
I used to pray for times like this, to run like this, so I had
like this, huh?
Let's go. You might as well just go ahead and make it official.
1200. You swinging on Instagram.
Mama goes, you swinging on Instagram.
All right.
Come on, man.
You ready? Y'all ready?
Y'all ready? We back to town, y'all. We back to
Come on, man. Break the internet, kid.
Let's go. You know where I'm going.
Steven, don't.
Right,
Steven.
Man.
Can't right now.
Let me get the other phone and take pictures. Y'all take pictures and send them to me.
Stop playing, man. Stop playing. Stop playing.
You don't bring your boy
I
on,
don't really
right?
got too much to say, but just thank y'all through the whole journey, really. But y'all finna sign my favorite right now. I can't show them if you sign my favorite.
Nah, you can show us right quick. I hope it's the Gator logo on there though. It sure looks something like this.
LJ is salesman, boys.
I hope.
Hey, let's go, LJ. That's what I'm talking about, kid.
Oh.
Nah, he ain't do us like that. He ain't do us like that. I mean, he must be at Dave & Buster's or something. They Wi-Fi bad.
He just signed.
Man,
I told you he wasn't gonna do it. Golly, dude.
Hey,
Steven,
listen,
I was about to go get the spacesuit on. I ain't
oh my God.
gonna bug.
Come
I was
on,
about to-
man. Don't do us like that. Hey, these kids awesome, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate Big Dog jumping in on there, giving us some hope.
I appreciate
Obviously
the
they got a
last
real
push.
connection.
Yeah, they play
obviously
together.
they got a real connection.
They play together at
Yeah,
Mainland. They
real
just won the state
connection, so-
championship. They just beat St. Augustine High in my high school here.
Yeah. No, I know.
Bastards.
But just during this time to be able to make that position, you don't want to. You're not trying to troll your friends if you don't choose that school. So obviously they have a super super dope connection. Hopefully that's a sign for us, man. Lord, wow.
I was about to wake my
I thought
child
we
up,
was gonna
Steven.
get.
I was about to wake my
Yeah,
child
man.
up.
Yeah,
I'm about to tell so
look,
many
I can't.
lies.
There's too much excitement over the past couple of days. They got to calm down.
I'm about to tell so many lies.
Yeah.
Golly.
Gosh. Yeah, I'm about to open up the beverage counter.
I had a feeling that was what's gonna happen. To be fair, I did say that before that went down, but then the way that it all kind of unfolded, I was like, "Yo, this might be the real deal."
Y'all let us know if it popped back up.
Yeah, for real.
He said Dave &
So you were
Buster's.
saying
yeah,
it
man,
was-
he was at Dave & Buster's. The Wi-Fi is bad at Dave & Buster's.
So you were saying before we got interrupted that it was your fault we lost Isaiah Williams. We'll forgive you for now. you didn't close on your end as our recruiter out there in Tampa.
Yeah. Nah,
Bro,
I'm
whole
for the
whole
kids.
damn school signed yesterday. You were live for like 6 hours. I'm like, my goodness.
Yeah, we had 9 that signed this signing period. Then in February we have maybe like 6 or 7. We had a lot of seniors, man. Yeah, a whole lot of seniors. A lot of ballers too, man.
Too cool. Well, Mr. Stephen Harris, I think we got it. I think we covered everything just about. My chest can't take anymore. Yeah, golly.
It's always fun. It's an exciting time. Especially when you're a Gator fan. It seems like we the hottest thing popping right now. I'm not gonna lie. So
they love to love us and love to hate us. That's kind of what we're at right now. Well, boys and girls, be sure to go give Mr. Stephen Harris some love. So Monday, where we usually have our show, it's Christmas. So I imagine we're probably gonna be busy. So we may need to move our show.
Okay, I thought you wanted me to wear the Santa Claus outfit.
We could do a Christmas show, I guess.
Right.
We'll move it to Tuesday. We'll do
Depending on what comes up between now and then, you never know. I guess
that's true. Shit goes down on Christmas. You know where I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be behind a mic. All right, so y'all just
we might get something for Christmas now. You never know.
Hey, if there's a Jeremiah Smith and a Zay Mincy underneath the tree, we'll be live. Okay, so you just
Facts.
He didn't pick anybody, Cooley. He just signed the papers. He trolled us the whole time. Let them know where they can find you, big man. I appreciate you as always, and Merry Christmas to you, boss. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I'm on X at FamoGang 365. That's FAMOGANG. If y'all want to know, it stands for Faith Allows Me Optimism Gang. I go by famous as Faith Allows Me Optimism Under Stress. Just the name God gave me one day. And then on Instagram, Stephen Harris 93 Gator, and just Facebook Stephen Harris.
I love it, man. Thank you so much, Stephen Harris. Merry Christmas. Be good.
Yes, sir. Go
and
Gators,
if anything
baby.
changes, obviously I'll call you. We'll figure it out. But maybe hopefully we can have just a nice quiet evening, quiet little Christmas.
Sell smooth, it'd be awesome.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if we could just sail right into it, it'd be dope.
It would be. You have a good night, boss. Thanks, man.
You too, man.
Well, boys and girls, another day, another dollar. Over 700 people in here most of the time. I do appreciate every last one of you guys tuning in again on a special live on this Thursday afternoon. Be sure to smash the like button. Again, continue to smash that sub button if you are not subscribed already. You guys are incredible. Merry Christmas to all you beautiful people. Okay, I hope you guys get what you want underneath the Christmas tree on Monday. Make sure you tell your mama and your papa and your family that you love them. Kids, give them a kiss, show them some love, and just know, hey, come January 1, okay? Mentality, kill somebody, boys. Let's buckle up. Let's dial it in. Let's have ourselves a good one, you guys. Be good. Love you. Good night. Boogity, boogity, boogity. See you guys in the next one.